maybe this is fine actually. So it's working. But there was a there was an there was an accidental stop, or there had been an accidental session of recording of this podcast, or of this application for creating podcast or creating episodes of podcast, which is why I'm worried about whether this application is functioning well or not. Anyway, so здравствуйте, меня зовут Ричард Гом, приятно познакомиться. And afterwards is what I can speak out by using Russian language, well, so by using Russian language, I have to tell you that извините, я не говорю по-русски язык. Не по-английски, не по-английски. Я не говорю по-русски, я не говорю по-русски. Не по-русски язык. Я изучал, не я изучал, не изучал. Я изучаю русский язык, но я не изучил русский язык. Anyway, so I'm going to speak out English language. Извините. So this time, of course, why I spoke out in Russian language is this topic, or this episode is related to Russian stuff, and so maybe I don't have to digress so much. So this time, the title is this world of 21st century is getting closer to that of the 19th century, which is not the fault of President Putin. And in the description column of this episode, I wrote a writing which is accumulation of wealth to the rich, and the increase in the number of freelancers. I think these two factors are premonitions or presentiments or premonitions or signs indicating the fact that this world of the 21st century is getting closer to that of or the situation of the 19th century. And recently I'm reading the book titled the capital of the 21st century. I thought the exact title of that book. So it's fine to check out the correct title of that book. That is that famous book written by not Mr. Professor Thomas Piketty, or Thomas Piketty is what Japanese people know is him. Japanese people know his name as Thomas Piketty, but actually, by reading his first name in English language, so his first name is Thomas, and capital of 21st century, which is the title of this of this book. Wait a moment, please. Anyway, so I often get mingled up, or I often confused with which pronunciation to use between L and R. So capital in the 21st century is the correct title of the book I'm going to talk about. Anyway, so 21st century, not 21st century, but 19th century. So when I began to talk about in the relation with Russian is that some people say that Mr. Vladimir Putin was President Putin dragged the world back to the 19th century, and which is because Russia intruded Ukrainian territory, which is a sovereign country. Ukraine is a sovereign country, and Russia is a sovereign country. Which is why, so in the era of Soviet Union, that war, which was named the russo-ukrainian war, would have been would have been a war, or that would have been not a war, but a civil war. So in this present time, there was a war taking place, which was named, which had been named russo-ukrainian war. But actually, so if that was it was if that happened, or which means if that war happened in the era of Soviet Union, that war would have been a if that war had happened, would be a correct use of tense. If that war had happened in the era of Soviet Union, that war would have been a civil war. Or if that war happened in the era of Soviet Union, that would be a civil war taking place now. Anyway, but actually, that is not a civil war, but just a war, or just one intrusion, and the intruder is Russia, and the intruded party, or the intruded country is Ukraine. Anyway, but and some people say that Mr. Putin, or President Vladimirovich Putin, dragged or brought this world back to the 19th century. But actually, I don't think that is correct. I think that is partly wrong. So truth is, not of course. Truth is, I think Mr. Vladimir Putin contributed to bringing this world back to the 19th century. I think this is correct. So the contribute what President Putin did was a contribution to the shift and to the shift, which means, so Mr. Vladimir Putin contributed to bringing this world back to the 19th century, or bringing the world of the 21st century back to the 19th century, which I think is correct. And here what I'd like to tell you is that Mr. Putin Mr. President Putin. Oh, I'm sorry for my complicated or stumbling explanation of English language. Anyway, English is not my mother tongue. Anyway, what President Putin did was just a contribution. So that. Of course, so that is not to say that Mr. President Putin is innocent, but actually, so so his decision was wrong. I think because his intrusion was an intrusion against Ukraine. So wrong. So I don't think his decision is completely wrong. But actually, so what he did was an intrusion. Anyway, but actually, so in this episode, what I'd like to tell you is that so this world automatically got closer to that of the 19th century, or this world was naturally dragged, or this world is getting closer naturally to that of the 19th century, which I think is a correct expression for describing this situation. And I wrote two things in the description column of this episode, and those two things are the factors which brought this world of the 21st century back to that of 19th century. And first one is accumulation of wealth to the rich. So why I began to talk about that book titled Capital of the 21st Century is that according to that book, so in the 19th century, so wealth or almost entire wealth had been accumulated or accrued to a small number of rich people. And this world has the same tendency, meaning that so a small number of rich people owns the largest part of the entire wealth of our country. which is which is roughly saying which is the description of this situation. I mean, so I'm sorry for my bad explanation of English language. And anyway, so what is special is that so there was a drop of the shares of wealth owned by rich people. And when such a drop of the shares owned by rich people happened is just after two world wars, or just after the Second World War. Anyway, which means, so what I'd like to tell you is that, so just after the Second World War, so the amount of the wealth, or the ratio of the wealth owned by rich people to the entire wealth owned by their nation, or their country, their country itself, had been dropped, because so there were many destroyed buildings, so there were many destroyed properties, or companies and countries and the people. So because there are two huge wars, or there are two huge world wars. So which is why, so the properties, or the lands, or the and maybe thinking about that era, so real estate and buildings, or other types of assets owned by rich people are destroyed by those two world wars. So according to the book written by Mr. Thomas Piketty, that is the reason why there was a significant drop of the amount, or of the ratio of wealth owned by small numbers of rich people to the ratio that owned to the entire wealth owned by their nation, or by their nations, or by their country, or by their countries. Anyway, so I'm sorry for my complicated explanation, but actually, so in this present time, and I'm recording this episode in 2022, and in the middle of not November, but September, in the middle of September in 2022, which is the time of this recording. Anyway, and so that book was published in 2014, maybe, in my country. So which is why that book was written 80 years before this recording time. And thinking about it, and at that time, before the pandemic of coronavirus, even before the pandemic of coronavirus, and maybe just after the annexation of Crimea, which was executed, or which was exercised by Russian Federation, and there was an accumulation of the wealth to small numbers of rich people, which was what happened in rich developed countries. So which is, and according to that book, such a tendency, or such a likelihood of accumulation, and the likelihood is the accumulation of the wealth to small numbers of rich people. And the likelihood, and which means, so that likelihood is really close to, or that tendency is really close to that, to which took place, or which has taken place in the 19th century. And in the 19th century, according to the author, so accumulation of the wealth, the wealth had been accrued to only small numbers of rich people. And so the wealth was calculated in the using ratio to the like the capital owned by rich people to the entire wealth owned by their country, or their government. Such a ratio is used for so such a ratios were used for comparing each countries, and irrespective of timelines. So such a ratios were used in that book. So thinking about such a tendency, it's possible to it's possible to say that this world has got closer to the 19th that of 19th century to that of the 19th century. And another factor is what I'd like to post this time. And that factor, another factor is that the increase in the number of freelancers, and recently the number of freelancers increases. So for example, the premonitions are that, or premonitions, or the fact is that there are there are many, the number of people who succeeded by managing blogs and by YouTube's increased from the past and until now. I'm sorry for my clumsy explanation, but actually, there are maybe, some YouTubers. If I ask this, if I ask you to pick up some names of YouTubers or famous bloggers, you can pick up some. So, which is the situation of this world, which means, so, some people could succeed by their own abilities, or by their individual skills. So, which is why, so, so in such a case, those YouTubers and those bloggers or YouTubers can be called a type of freelancers. Anyway, so like which, but actually, so please think about the tendency. Please think about the occupations of the people in 19th century. Not in the 19th century. Please think about the occupations or the jobs of the people living who had lived in the 19th century. There had been many people who had their own shops. For example, so some people had their own grocery shops run by each family, or some people were butchers, and those butchers were run by the, and those butchers were run by or managed by some families, and each family had their own shop. Like that from, so Mr. Smith had butcher, and for example, Mr. Lee managed a grocery store, and for example, how should I, which name should I use? And so Mr. Kamprad launched a shop for stationery, for example, which succeeded as an IKEA. So that is, Mr. Fyodor Ingvar Kamprad was a person of the 20th century. But actually, so the image was and the picture of understanding is stuff like that. Anyway, so there had been many freelancers, or there had been many people who earned money, or who had made money by themselves individually, which I think is the situation of the 19th century. And huge companies grew up in the 20th century, or in the beginning of the 20th century. So which is the situation of the 20th century, not, and recently, there are growing numbers of increasing numbers of so bloggers or freelancers, or other types of people who earn money, or who make money by themselves individually. So that is because so the jobs served by huge companies grew insecure, and to start with, this world is insecure. So which I think is one of the reasons why the number of freelancers increased, because so there's for example, this is an extreme condition, but actually, or this is an extreme instance, but actually, if there's no insecure jobs, if there are many huge companies, but if those huge companies can't give secure jobs to people, so it's fine to become blogger or YouTuber to earn money. And it's possible to say that so if you can, which means there, every person has their own possibility to become a successful person. Roughly saying, if you if you launch a blog, you may become a successful blogger, and you may become a rich person. You know, there is such a possibility, which is what I'm talking about. And you know, so thinking about which, you know, nowadays, you know, if huge companies bankrupt, or if huge companies can't serve people's, you know, secure jobs, and and yeah, moreover, so jobs given by, you know, given by, you know, huge companies or governments grew insecure. So thinking about which, so you know, it's fine to, you know, launch an account of YouTube, and it's fine to it's fine to create websites or web pages to make money, or to earn money, or to become rich. You know, such a thing it became possible in this world. So which I think is which I think one of the factors which brought this world of the 21st century to that of the 19th century. Which is, so this factor is another stuff I'd like you to know this time. So I'm going to end this episode, or I'm going to end this recording, and the title is "This world of the 21st century is getting closer to that of the 19th century, which is not the fault of President Putin." And the factors are accumulation of wealth to the rich, and the increase in the number of freelancers, and these two factors are main factors which dragged this world of the 21st century to that of the 19th century. So I think, you know, so also what President Putin decided was a kind of you know, you know, wrongdoing. But actually, you know, there must be some underlying reasons. I think there must be some underlying reasons, or underlying, you know, so circumstances which can be, you know, which can be possible to be, you know, so justified. But actually, you know, what he did was, or what he decided was an intrusion against, you know, against a sovereign country. So in which sense, you know, he contributed to bringing this world back to that of the 19th century. But actually, so many factors, I think it's possible to say that, you know, it's us who brought this world back to that of the 19th century. You know, we decide how things go by using, you know, our perspectives. You know, so if we grow, if we find jobs insecure, you know, some people may decide to launch YouTube accounts, or blogs. So which is how, you know, the number of freelancers increases. You know, such a thing may happen. You know, but such a thing may happen, you know, by changing our perspectives, or by our perspectives themselves, which is maybe this is I think this is a, you know, correct explanation for the tendency of this world. Anyway, so I'm sorry for my complicated and clumsy explanation or description. So anyway, so if you'd like to, you know, read the two factors I introduced this time, so please take a look at the description column of this episode, so that you can check out our related content I introduced this time. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening. See you.